Okay, man. You lead. We live.
All right, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm just looking at a couple things, and this one's a little close to you. So check it out. So I'm on YouTube and I'm on Skip Townsend's page, and I just came across something that said violence in Los Angeles has been reduced to 14% from 2023 to 2024. A guy by Melvin Howard discussing Grid, which is
Melvin
G.
Hayward.
Okay, Hayward. You very
Uh, uh,
familiar.
uh, um, Doggone it. Oh man, I know Melvin. Melvin's out of Venice. He's from Venice. He out of Venice, California.
Nice.
Melvin's from they from oh man, what's the name of the organization? I know the name of the organization. It'll
The
come to
G
me. But
is
I know
grid.
Melvin and them.
It's grid, right? GRYD
G.R.Y.
discussing.
I used to work for their grid. G.R.Y.D means Gang Reduction and Youth Development. The actual name is the Los Angeles Mayor's Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development, but they say grid for short. The
Okay.
Los
Ah.
Angeles Mayor's Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development is a collective of let us say former people from the streets, former gang members, former people from religious communities.
Hmm.
You got a lot of people that come out of different aspects of life that are in the street, academics. You got people that are like professionals in violence reduction.
Yup.
I was actually a member now before Grid, right? Messing with Skip Townsend in the second call. I was a member of CCVIP, the Community Coalition of Violence Intervention Professionals. That was before Grid, and that was where the groundwork was laid for Grid.
Ah.
Not Condoleezza, but Connie Rice was a part of that also. And who else? There was some people because we have like a lot of officials in Los Angeles that when it comes to like things like gang intervention and violence intervention, they got to admit that the streets play a big part in it. So what they do is they recruit and they rehabilitate the guys out of the streets
Right.
and they train them and then they put them back in the streets and send them back in their community with jobs as community advocates.
Okay, that makes sense because you hit it right on the nose. It says in the collaborations of various reputable community organizations that work together to take ownership of the 14% drop in homicides and 19% drop in shootings for the city of Los Angeles. So
Right.
that's
And Melvin Hayward, him and
Belvin
Stan Muhammad,
Haywood.
shout out to Mel, shout out to Stan, Helper Foundation.
Nice.
That's the name of it. It's the Helper Foundation. I think they used to be a part of Venice 2000, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
but it's the Helper Foundation these days. When actually, Melvin and Stanton, they did us a great deed when we was at the table with the Harlem Crips with the 30s when I was having meetings with them and we was discussing just basically coming to a non-aggressive agreement and us not being in the street shooting each other back in 2009. That's where we were having our meetings at the Helper
Wow.
Foundation. That's back when I was sitting at the table. I was there with quite a few members, man. You know what I mean? Reputable guys, But everybody plays a part in the process because of the fact
Right.
that we can provide means and ways of being able to come about with a logical process. Because what I was taught was that in intervention, the process belongs to the intervention workers.
Mm.
The outcome belongs to those that are at the table that are negotiating.
Right.
So intervention means that I might be in a situation where I can't have a peaceful conversation, sit down with two rival gang members in either of their communities. But a sit down might be that I can sit down with them on neutral ground. We might go to Woodland Hills somewhere. We might go to Hollywood. We might go somewhere on neutral ground where nobody has to look over their shoulders and watch their backs, and we might be able to sit down and negotiate and have a conversation.
Right.
We might be able to have a conversation over a hot meal because everybody enjoys good food. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, it also opens up the dialogue, and what dialogue opens up is means and ways to find different concepts and different ways to bring about peace in the communities.
Definitely. Wow. So let me ask you a question. So that treaty that y'all had in 2009, how did that go?
Well, it was a lot of us that was tired of it. But this is the thing about intervention. Gang intervention is like gang banging. You got to constantly recruit.
Right. For the opposite reason of the actual cause.
Right. You got to
to
constantly
fight
recruit.
against
And-
the fight against the fight.
Right. Exactly. You got
Right.
to constantly, because of the fact that this is the reason you got to constantly recruit, because the gang is constantly recruiting and the influences are changing constantly.
Right. Right.
So as your
Right.
influences constantly change, you got to have the current voice. We just lost you. Hello, are you there? I just lost you, Bumpy.
Hold on.
Oh, you still there?
Yeah, 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 I'm here. I had to reject the call, man.
Okay.
But I hear you though.
But yeah, but like I was saying to you though, see the thing about it is that in intervention you got to constantly recruit. That's why the thing about intervention is constantly having. It's going to be a constantly be new waves of people that are promoting peace in the community. Because see, and this is the truth. In LA, man, we are only who we are from where we're from.
Right.
Meaning that every individual is identified geographically by a piece of land. So Mad Ronald comes from the West Adams area, but in the underworld, in the street world, Mad Ronald comes from the 20s.
Right.
But the city don't recognize the area of space called the 20s. You see what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
The city don't recognize the area of space called the 30s. They don't recognize the space called five deuce or 9-0 or 40s. See what I'm saying? See, the gang concept ain't nothing but ideology.
Right.
It's indoctrination. See, myself personally, I always tell people when I was young, when I became a member, I was not initiated. I was indoctrinated because of the fact that for a long time, this way of thinking is what I accepted. And I accepted the way of thinking for a long time. It's been my way of thinking for over 49 years.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And there's no greater plateau that you can get to once you get to certain levels. And you always will always wonder, what does it take to be this? See, I always wondered what it took to be the OG. See what I'm saying? I was always wondering about OG status, right? Being OG. But I'm the
Right.
OG now. Ain't nothing there. I'm the OG. The only thing above the OG is the RICO Act.
Mm.
Because if you have that much influence, they're gonna come for you.
Right. Right.
No black man can have so much influence because they're gonna be looking you over with a. They're gonna be have a fine tooth comb. They're gonna be looking for any and everything that they can get you on. You understand what I'm saying? I commend the work that Skip does though, because of the fact that I do a lot of interaction with Skip. That's a good friend of mine. You know what I mean? It's a homie of mine, but it's a good friend of mine.
I,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
absolutely. It's weird because, well, it's not weird, but just throughout the years, I just been watching him, and it's weird. It's kind of like I'm supposed we was even though he's from the hood, it's different. I'm pretty sure other people feel like this. They caught on to what he's doing, and they're just watching him do his work, and it's just like it's just a good amazing work that he's doing. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
something I learned about people, man, and working in gang intervention. Something I've learned about people is that everybody wants to be a part of something good. They just don't know how.
Yeah,
It's the person that's the innovator that comes with the creativity and idealism that comes about and brings this into the environment, and you introduce this energy. Now people want to latch on. Everybody's doubtful in the beginning because people doubt change.
yeah,
No
yeah.
one's prepared for change. See, this is funny. Okay, there's been a gang war in LA for so long that violence has become normal.
Right,
Everybody is used to going to the liquor store in the morning to go get the milk for the baby to get cereal and the diapers and everything else and carrying a pistol.
right.
Everybody walk down the street is literally looking over their shoulders because they're worried about a drive-by shooting. There's so much PTSD
Yeah,
and there's so much trauma. See what I'm saying? I mean, because it's like living in a war zone, right?
right,
There's so much of this going on that now the intervention world is where we are the people that recognize this.
right,
We
right.
understand this. Also, is mental illness
Oh man, that's a
associated with a lot of this is mental illness. See, when we was young, we thought the homeboys was crazy and down and this, but you didn't realize that the homeboy had a mental illness. You didn't realize that the homeboy really had something going on that was bigger than anything that we could imagine.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? We didn't have a realization of this here. But then later on, they say, "Oh, well, homie's in a crazy house. Homie's in a, you know what I'm saying? He's somewhere where he got to be medicated. He was in jail. He was on Thorazine. He was in jail. He was on Haldol. He was in jail. Didn't know who he was. Didn't know his name. But
Yeah,
these are all attributes of mental illness. But in the streets, mental illness is common.
it is. That
We
I
just
think
don't recognize it.
I think that's a big, big, major point you just brought up. It really is. It's more common than we think. But like you said, if I didn't grow up in a house with somebody that had mental illness, or know somebody else, like you said, we think it's normal. Oh man, he's crazy, or she's crazy, man.
Right,
Like it was just
right,
like that until it builds up to a point where it's beyond. There was no help. It's to the point where it's no return now.
right. Mental health is something that has to be acknowledged. And sometimes people have to deal with the trauma and the stress that exists.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you got triggers. See, when okay, I got to give you the breakdown. When I worked for the mayor's office of gang reduction youth development, right?
Right.
When they recruited me to this, they actually kind of recruited me. Skip Townsend was the one that actually referred me.
Okay.
So through him, they came to me. I was already in the street doing intervention work, but I wasn't a paid intervention worker. You see what I'm saying? Wasn't getting paid for this. I was doing this because of the fact that in within myself, as I've grown, as I've matured, it was the right thing to do.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And we all want to do what's right. In reality, within us, our moral compass is going to guide us toward what is right.
Amen.
You see what I'm saying? Being able to provide people with the ability to just live a normal life without being under siege, without being having to live in the midst of a war torn region of the world, known as South Central Los Angeles. You know what I mean? And witness all the death and destruction.
Yeah.
Then you got to have those that was committing those acts and destroying, to turn them into the people that are now being the creators. You see what I'm saying? So what they did was they sent us to the Los Angeles Violence Intervention Training Academy. It's called we say La Vida.
Wow.
In Spanish, La Vida means for life,
For life.
but it's really Los Angeles Violence Intervention Training Academy and the Urban Peace Institute. These were places I had to go. Literally, I'm certified as a gang intervention worker. I am certified anger management. I'm certified in conflict resolution.
Wow.
I'm certified in all in street stuff. I'm certified in negotiations and
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm literally trained at the table. I'm certified in trauma awareness. I am certified as a domestic violence counselor, literally. And this
Mm.
all comes through when I went through the Urban Peace Institute. You see what I'm saying? My certifications is something else. But at the same time, it ain't the certification to make you who you are, it's the work. Because something else I had to do was I'm the guy that, as the grid worker with these certifications, I'm the guy that's also trained to interact in a crisis with law enforcement.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? This is the part. People say, well, grid, they talk to the police, they snitching. No. When you go to the grid, when they vet you, when I went to the grid, let me tell you, when I went to La Vida, how they vetted me, right? And this is the honest to God truth. I'm going to tell you how they vetted me. When I went to I can't think of who else was in there. I know it was Andre Christian from the Watch Life Lowrider Club, president of the Watch Life Lowrider Club. I know Andre Christian was there. I know PP from East Coast was there. PP from East Coast Crip was there. I'm not sure if Godfather from East Coast Crip was there. And there was a couple more guys. And these were guys that I had actually already known from the intervention world. See what I'm saying? These were guys that I had known from just being in the streets and being on the scene when we was doing intervention anyway. So when I entered the room, they already knew who I was. You see what I'm saying? But
I can't
at the
hear you.
same time, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now? It's on your end because I haven't touched nothing. That's on your end. I haven't touched nothing. Can you hear me now? Hello, speak. Say something.
I can't hear you.
I can hear you, but
You can hear me?
that's on your end. I haven't touched anything.
Fuck.
That's on you. Can you hear me now?
Let me see.
Can you hear me now? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me
Yeah, I hear you
now?
now.
You
I
hear
hear
me
you now.
now? All right, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Somebody keep calling in, man. I gotta keep the call, but all right, we back on.
Okay. Scoot up. Move your camera up a little bit. 'Cause you cut the top of your head off.
All right, you can see me now.
Yeah, I can see you now.
All right, cool.
But now back to what I was telling you though. When we was at the Los Angeles Violence Intervention Training Academy, we did training with law enforcement. We did training with first responders. I did training with all kind of different entities. I've been to the Los Angeles Police Academy, and I've actually been on a simulator because we had a big old controversy about police shootings, and we had to have a training with them. But see, one thing about them when I like I say when I went to my training to be vetted, right, to see could I get to would they accept me with the Los Angeles Violence and Adventure Training Academy, and they asked me a question, right? Now, like I said, I told you all these guys who was in there. These are reputable street dudes, right? These are
Right,
reputable guys in the streets that have all turned their lives around in intervention, but we all maintain our identities in the streets for the sake of the work that we do. So these guys, I walk into the room and they're sitting there. And they asked me a question. PP asked me a question. PP from East Coast asked me a question. And the question that he asked me was, he said, when do you call the police on a gang member? That's the question I was asked, right? He said, when do you call the police on a gang member, right? So I got to think about how I'm going to answer this question because this is a trick question that I'm being asked, right?
right.
Okay. So he's asking me, when do you call the police on a gang member, right? So if you was asked that question, how would you answer it?
Um, honestly,
Yeah, if you would ask that question, right? How would you answer it?
I would say the question is the question is when do you?
Yeah. When do you call the police on a gang member?
I guess I would say when I'm a little older, maybe your age, maybe a little older, in a different space in a house, and if there's something going on outside, and I'm not physically up to par to handling myself, or nobody's around, then I guess I'm gonna have to let the police do their job.
When they asked me that question, right?
Yeah,
And this is me answering that question. And I literally had to toss the question around in my head. And when he asked me that question, I said to myself, I had to reconsider it and reconsider and reconsider and think it.
right,
And I said what I came up with out of that was that I told him, I said, when he asked me the question, I said, if a gang member shot a child, right?
right,
I would go to their homies, to his people. I would let them know the circumstances of everything going on and what has happened and leave it up to his people
to deal with that.
to deal with it, right? When I said that, he looked at me and he said that was a pretty good answer. He said, but you know when you call we said, you know when you call the police on a gang member? He said, never.
Mm,
Said if you would have said that you would call the police on a gang member, then you wouldn't have got accepted into the class. Because the
wow,
number one element within grid is you don't snitch. See, credibility is everything. The grid is working with guys that are in prison, that are in jail. Guys are coming back out on parole and probation. And
right,
these dudes here, we got to be able to have their confidence. We got to be able to have their trust.
right,
So therefore, if we got people that's in the streets and they telling and they snitching and they giving people up, people going to jail for dealing with grid, then you can't trust them.
Now that is completely understandable the way you explained it because of the organization and how things are going. I was thinking as a civilian, as a civilian standpoint at some point in time. Not saying it's
Hmm.
right, not saying it's wrong, but
Right.
you know what I'm saying? As a civilian, once you get to a certain point in life, you know what I'm saying? You start thinking
Well,
different.
a civilian don't live by that code of conduct.
Right,
See what I'm saying? A civilian don't live by the rules that the active street combatant lives by.
right.
See, there's a code they say of the streets, right? You know the code. Do you know the code of the streets? You know what the code of the streets is?
I'm familiar with the old code of the streets, but now they say there's no codes of the street.
I'm gonna tell you what the code of the street is.
All right,
The code of the street is an unwritten set of rules that is constantly changing accordingly to who it is applied to.
there you go. There you go.
So
That's
it's
it.
selective politicking.
That there you go. So it's no solid code.
That's right.
There's no solid
It's on
code.
the person that's saying at that moment. Because watch this. Me and you can do something. The homies, me and you, same set, right?
Right,
Me and you can be up and can go and do something, right? Now let's say for instance, you in your world, you doing what you do, you getting money. The girls like you, right?
right,
I'm broke. I'm in the crowd. I'm with the homies over here, right?
right,
I'm with the grind balls. I'm with these dirt bags. I'm with the dirt bags over here, right?
right,
So we over here doing whatever we do, whatever scandal, getting in whatever scandal we can get into, right? But you
right,
in the world doing what you doing your thing. Me and you mess around and go to jail together. I might be in the car with you, you giving me a ride, right?
right,
I get caught with a pistol, right?
right,
I get caught with a pistol. I go back and tell the homies, you know he snitched on me, right? Now
right,
the homies are gonna look up, and the homies gonna look at me, right? Now remember, I'm one of these dirtbag ass motherfuckers down here in the gutter with them, right?
right,
But you ain't down here with them. But you doing better, and you in your life, and you living honorably by the code, whatever it might be said to be.
right,
But the homies gonna side with me because I ain't got nothing, just like they ain't got nothing.
right,
You got something, so we don't like you because you ain't down here struggling with us.
right, right,
So therefore, we gonna smut you, we gonna defame you, we gonna make you everything that we feel that we need you to be, not to be credible. So you ain't accepted.
right,
Even though as good as you make us look by still being a member and taking pride in that.
right,
You see what I'm saying? I'm mad at you because I can't be you.
right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is a
And
lot of that
so
going on.
that's the definition of the code of the streets right there, selective politicking. But at the same time, though, back to like I was speaking of grid though. See, grid, you go through training with the police department, first responders, you go through it with everybody, man. We sat in the
Mm,
room with other intervention workers. I've been in the room with a little bit of everybody and anybody, man. Knew some of them, didn't know none of them. But at the
right,
same time, the training, man, is so crazy. Because grid, something I used to do, man, that was interesting, dude, and this was really interesting. If somebody got killed in the neighborhood, right? I got to report to the crime scene. If it's said to be a gang related murder, I got to report to the crime scene. I got to go to the crime scene. I got to go. Now, this is where the training comes in when we speak of interaction with law enforcement. When when there's a murder, something happens, I show up. I'm the grid worker. Now, I'm under a city contract with the city of Los Angeles, right? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna speak with law enforcement.
right,
I'm gonna speak with the senior lead officer that's on the scene. He gonna come and he's gonna tell me everything that took place.
mm,
Okay, so now I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna get the information from him, and I'm gonna articulate that information from him, and then I'm gonna go to the homies because if this is a gang related murder and it happened in the neighborhood, then the homies gonna be out here. And I have had this happen before, and I've reported to these scenes, and to be the little homies, one of the little homies that I just talked to had just seen under the white sheet with his tenant with his Nikes with his white Nikes hanging out from under the sheet.
right.
You know the scene, yellow tape all around.
I know.
So now I see the homies are angry. They ready to make moves and do things, right? They got everything they need to do what they need to do to lay down what they need to lay down.
Right,
In this situation, I have to go to the homies and I have to de-escalate. I have to speak to the homies on means and ways of not doing what they plan to do, what they want to do, or what they're gonna do. I had to give them some kind of understanding. Cause see, one of the great strategies that I've learned in as an interventionist is the fact that the less people that are hurt in time, the less people that are mad in time. So if there's a constant escalation of gang violence overnight, and we constantly striking each other over and over again, and we done shot 5 people on that side, and they done shot 10 people on this side, then we all mad, and this gonna take forever to get over, and there's gonna be a lot more casualties because now we're striking with stealth accuracy.
Right.
We're constantly moving, and ain't nothing stopping us. But at the same time, though, the thing about it is this here: when it comes to that, you got to have people that can articulate that language, understand what's going on, and be able to also have the respect. When you become an intervention worker, you have to, in order to be an intervention worker, to start with, you have to have what's called an LTO. LTO is given by the homies and is given by the community. LTO means a license to operate.
Mm. Okay.
That's what LTO is. That means that if, like when I was the intervention worker, and I was the intervention worker in West Adams. So my license to operate came from the homies. It came from the community. I was put in the place of representation of the homies as far as a voice. You see what I'm saying? As far as a voice and proper representation, they could articulate the information from City Hall and bring it back to
To the
Adams and
streets.
Normandy,
Right.
Lauren Miller Park. See what I'm saying? I also had to be able to take information where I'm sitting there up at these tables and negotiating these non-aggressive agreements and these treaties and stuff. You know what I mean? There was a group of us, man. It was at one time that was involved in non-aggressive agreements and treaties, man, and this, and we actually were very effective with what we're doing. That goes back to like 2009, what I was talking about. But
Right.
the thing about grid is that, like, say for instance, I go to the crime scene and little homie's been murdered. I got to go to the crime scene. I see the homies out here; they hot. So when I look at them, they hot. They got weapons. I got to look at them, and I got to first and foremost, I got to come into this here with a perspective of a peaceful state of mind, because everybody else around me, they flying off the chain. They mad. They hot. They ready to make moves.
Absolutely.
So when I do enter into the situation, now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the homies and find out what happened because I need to have their perspective of things. See what I'm saying? Because of the fact that the violence first and foremost is going to come out of the imagery to set up within the mind of the reality that's laying on the ground.
Right.
So we're gonna see how we gonna all we can do is think about how horrible this was. Then after I speak with them, now I got to go talk to law enforcement because I got to find out when the homies are gonna say who. They gonna tell me woody whoop. Whatever the rivalry is going on. Okay. I'm gonna go to law enforcement. Law enforcement. Now I'm senior lead officer from Grid. He gonna come in. We gonna keep this 100% business. He gonna talk to me, and he's basically gonna tell me what happened. You know, blow by blow from what the reports and the witnesses said. There was a guy who was walking down the street. Van drove up. Guy walking with girl. Da da da. 5 shots fired. One man down. Da da da. He gonna explain it like that, right?
Right.
We don't know who it is yet, but we're investigating this and this. So now I take this information. I'm gonna go back to my people. But my thing ain't to be worrying about who did the shooting. My deal is to worry about who didn't do the shooting, because for whoever didn't do the shooting, that's information I can share with the homies. And that's another community they ain't in shooting up because they think that they did the shooting.
Right. Right. Right.
See, all of this. What I'm talking about. This is all strategies that we use. There can be a shooting. I might get a call. I might get a call, and I might call whoever my coworkers are in the 30s or the 40s or wherever. Really, it's like this in the 30s. Where my coworkers are. Hey man, we got one down there, man. This. It ain't looking good, man, and everybody's mad, man. It's like something might be finna happen. It might be a good time to get your people off the streets, right? So
Right.
basically, what will happen is basically the fact that we'll go into whatever mode we got to go into to try to get people off the streets. Meaning that that mode might be, we might have to go tell everybody that LAPD said that the probation officer and the parole officer coming through, everybody going to jail, they kicking
Do a
in doors,
sweep.
as soon as the
Right.
shooting starts, they coming for them guns. They starting with parolees and probationers. You know, all the tough guys on parole and probation. You know what I mean?
Stay in the
So,
house. Right.
right, you
Yeah.
understand? You
Yeah.
understand that
Definitely.
strategy?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So therefore, Implementing a strategy like that means that there will be less casualties and less retaliation. But now we still got the little homie laying under the sheet here throughout all this here. So now I got to go and I got to talk to mama, right? Now remember, I'm doing all this work with the homies, right?
Right.
I got to shift gears now. I got to go talk to mama. When I go talk to mama, what I got to talk to mama about is victims of crime, victim services. Victims of crime, victim services, what they do is victim services will give you up to $7,500 to assist with the funeral if that person was killed in LA County.
Wow.
If you were injured, let us say victim services can assist you if you were injured like in a crime and you let's say you lost days off work, you in the hospital, whatever, they got resources, means of services that they themselves can assist you with and provide for you.
Wow.
Compensation for lost wages,
Compensation. Right.
all kind of other stuff. I mean, what, this is what G.R.Y.D does. This is part of the work that G.R.Y.D does as an advocate. I was a liaison between the Southwest 2 G.R.Y.D, which was my office, and victim services and victims of crime, I would say, whichever one it is, the city and the county. So one, they both the same thing, do the same stuff.
Right.
But I was the liaison. So my job basically was that, you know what I mean? And it was hectic because I was sometimes I gotta come and meet mama. Mama's son just got shot in the head, God know how many times. I gotta talk to mama and she can't talk. So now I got to say, here's my card. We will set up a meeting and I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll, you know what I mean? Da da da, or whenever you're ready. So now when they call me, I'm the person that I understand the criteria.
Right.
When victim services in Los Angeles to receive victim services, people are very misguided and miseducated understanding victim services because they think if you're a gang member that you can't receive it. To receive victim services, the disqualifying factors are you cannot play a part in your own murder, right? Like
Okay.
in other words, it can't be a suicide or nothing like that there, right?
Okay. Right.
I can't be committing a crime in the midst of the murder. Like if I rob a store or if I'm in a, or if I let's say I'm shooting it out with some rival gang members, right? And I get killed, right?
Right.
I don't qualify for victim services because I played a part in my own murder, you can practically say.
I understand that.
And the third one is that the person applying for it cannot be on parole or probation because of the fact that if you have a victim, let's say you're on parole or probation, you've been incarcerated and you received restitution, right? Typically in California, if you have a victim, you get restitution. You got to pay into the fund. So, because this is where the money comes from for victim services that they pay out, like that 7,500 and those lost wages.
For the funeral. Right.
It comes from the restitution that is implemented on certain people to commit certain crimes. So they have to pay into the fund, and the money that comes out of the fund goes back to the victims.
I got it. I got it.
So my job was basically I understood the criteria, and those three criteria are the only thing that disqualifies anyone from receiving victim services. So I would put the people in place that could receive the victim services because you don't receive a check or anything. They don't give you money. The money goes to the mortuary.
Right. It goes straight to them.
It goes straight to the mortuary. They just the state, that means the county, the city, wherever they're gonna make sure that the money gets where it needs to be. So
Right.
this is what I used to do. But the thing about it was that I always made the point too, because when I worked for them, I worked with everybody. I had a caseload of over 16 people, and I'm talking about, man, I'm from 14 to 24 with my caseload. So
Wow.
I'm in the high schools, I'm in the middle schools. I'm at the probation office. I'm at the parole office. I
Right.
got caseloads that just getting kicked out of school. I got caseloads just coming out of the county probation camps. I got caseload coming out of the California Youth Authority system. I got caseload coming from the California State Prison system. And I'm the person that actually is their like their advocate. It was like social work, right? But these are the people I'm dealing with. And I myself personally, my whole objective to this was, you know what I mean, being able to assist. So when I would always talk to people, I would tell them, I would say, I don't work for the hood. I work for the community because I'm gonna work with whoever you. I'm working with Bloods and Crips. I'm working with
Right.
Mexicans. I'm working with whoever I got to work with. You have a need for service. I'm gonna provide you the services. This is what
Right.
I'm here for. And this is the
Right.
job that I have. This is the reason I took this job. You see what I'm saying? So all in all, when it comes down to it, grid itself, man, is a great entity. But back to what I was saying about when they talked about they people we say how they say grid workers be snitching and this and this. Grid do not allow that. Grid don't want to deal with you if you that kind of person because of the fact that grid has to maintain credibility and with the credibility that they trying to maintain, especially comes from the streets.
Right.
I will never be able to talk to Gunner out of the gun if I have a reputation as someone that has been working with law enforcement and people have been going to jail dealing with me. But if I'm the dude that that had the gun before him that changed my life and changed my way of living, and I can articulate the way that he feels and the way that he thinks, and if I can be him and he understand I've been where he's at, then he's willing to cooperate with me and put the gun down.
Right. That
But a
makes all
big
that.
part of that right there too is my credibility. Because if I don't, my credibility is not intact, then what am I worth?
Right.
And
Right.
that goes back to the LTO. That goes back to that license to operate. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, as an intervention worker, I'm in the middle of the streets in the hood. When I was doing the work, I was in the hood every day because my office was in the neighborhood. But I was in the streets every day because I had to be out here with the people. Ain't no sense in doing the work if you ain't gonna be with the people. You know what I'm saying?
That's where it
And see,
starts.
my view of things is that we all made a big mess years ago coming up, man. And it's our job to clean that mess up. You know what I mean? People are still affected by the stuff that we've done in the past. I mean, I know that I came up in LA through some of the worst times and I ran with some of the most notorious dudes. You see what I'm saying? I mean, literally, man, I got people on California Death Row, man. I got people up there on California Death Row, man. And before I left, I was talking to them on the regular. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But I've been there with some of LA's most notorious. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? I've been everywhere with everybody. I've been in every place, but that's not a badge of honor. That's more of a badge of shame because for me to be with these people, I had to be at my lowest in life.
Right.
See what I'm saying? If I'm in prison, if I'm in jail, I'm at my lowest. You see what I'm saying? The thing about it that is interesting, and I always say this about the streets, man. You know, the streets is the only place that you can be a successful failure and be accepted.
Yeah. They say we the only ones that celebrate failure.
Exactly. We celebrate failure. See, it's so backward the thinking and idealism of ideology, I won't say of the gang member because of the fact that we're stuck. See, in LA, this is a big problem. In
Right.
Los Angeles, a lot of gang members are stuck. Everybody's living in the past. Here, LA gang members talk, they're gonna talk about the past.
Mm.
They want to talk about history. They want to try to validate by whatever used to happen, right?
Yeah.
If you are a OG and you want to validate yourself, you got to validate yourself by doing things that are constructive and productive for your community.
Yeah.
The validation of the day, man, comes from doing something worth something.
Yeah.
Validation don't come through being destructive. It comes through being productive. Your validation has to have value. You can't put a dollar value on destruction unless you're gonna pay for what's torn up.
Absolutely. That's so right.
But if you can build, then if you can build, it's priceless. It's the same way when I was doing intervention work. Well, yeah, well, before I worked for Grid, like I say, when we were at the table and we was at the table with the 30s and '09, right, at the Helper Foundation. And the
Right.
thing about that was interesting is always, and this is here we go, when you build, I said you gotta have value. If when we were at the table and we were having our discussions and we came up with our non-aggressive agreements, right? We were involved in a war that had been going on for maybe more than 40 years, every day
Right.
in, day out, night in, night out. You shoot me, I shoot you. You hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you. You do something to me, I'm gonna do something to you. Cars driving cars driving south of Jefferson, cars coming back going north of Jefferson. Shots fired south of Jefferson, shots fired north of Jefferson. You see what I'm saying? All of this is something that had just been going on for so long. It became our way of life.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It became something that was so normal. But when you put us all in the room together, all of a sudden we all start coming to realizations of how normal and how we are all the same.
Yep.
Because the fact that when it comes down to it, it's the truth. We all the same. You know, that's why I always say, no matter what, it can be black, it can be red, it can be blue, but it's still black.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like I say, the thing about it was that when it came to the value of the work done, just like I said, we had the non-aggressive agreement. And I always say that, and I think somebody told me this. I think I heard this from somebody, and they said you can count dead bodies, right? But you can't count how many lives you save.
Wow.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's deep.
You can
That's
count
tough.
dead bodies. Like from us in 2009, all the way from the 70s, all the way up to where we were at that point in time, right there, right? It been a war. It been a body count.
Yeah.
We in a war that been going on over 40 years. It's probably involved more than 1,000 people counting both sides. Right in the city of LA, right in the second largest city in the country, right in this ain't happening in the Middle East. This is happening
Right.
right here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You can over the course of time, over the years, I can remember bodies and bodies and bodies. I've been like I always tell people, I've been over 300 funerals myself. I can count that, right?
Wow.
But when we came up with our agreement at that point in time in 2009, you can't say how many lives were saved because you can't put a number on that. That's infinite.
Right.
That's the thing about it. It's infinite. So being that it is infinite, you know what I mean? It's crazy. You know what I mean? Do they have intervention? Like, do they have kind of, like intervention programs in New York like that? They have gang intervention in New York.
Not really. No, it's not. If they do, nah, it's not really heard of. It's not heard of. They have in New York. It's more like they have task force. They have more things to crack down and to lock you up rather than to bring the
So they're
community together.
into what you're saying is that they are more into incarceration and suppression than
Yes,
intervention,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Because, but that's see the thing about that is that right there is job security, man. That's what they don't they want to stay that way and they want to make it seem like what it seems.
Of
It's
course,
just the same as like the stigma now that goes with gang member.
right,
See what I'm saying? Like me, I don't proclaim myself to be a member of a gang. I say I'm a member of urban sub community. I'm not a part of because of the fact that I'm not a gang member by definition is a group of people that come together with the intent to commit crime. So I don't. That's not my intent.
right. That's not what we do.
Right. That's not my intent right there. But at the same time, though, when it comes down to it, we look at the stigma of the word gang member, man. People got to start thinking about evolving and using other terms and other terminologies in order to be able to define themselves. Because of the fact that when you use certain words, I mean, see, the gang, to be real, LA gangs didn't call themselves gangs. You know where the term gang came from?
It had to come from the media or the people, I would say the media because the media is always throwing the names out there, labeling the people thugs
It
or
came from the
gangs.
media and it came from law enforcement.
Yeah, law enforcement. There we go.
It came from the media and it came from law enforcement. See, you got to remember something. Keep this in mind. We were far detached from the element of being gangs in the early years because of the consciousness.
Right,
Even though LA had an evolution of gangs taking place, where you had whatever the gangs was and the Crips was evolving, you got to remember that there was still a presence of the Black Panther Party.
right,
See what I'm saying? That's what all of us as a people. That was our influence because the revolutionary pro-black movement that took place during the 1960s overlapped into the 70s. The Black Panther
right,
Party was still around. All the different groups that were fighting different levels of oppression and anti-government groups. You know what I mean? But the thing about it was that the Black Panther Party had so much of an influence. The farthest, being a gang was actually the farthest thing away from any black man's mind.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Even if you really, really get down to it, I don't know this for a fact, but I heard this. I once heard that the reason the Crips wore leather jackets was because Raymond Washington looked up to the Panthers.
I believe that because
Well, if you're so old and you were here like around 1970, 69, 70, and you were like a teenager,
you was
you were
influenced by it.
emulating them.
Right. Right. Right.
It was like hip hop.
Right.
I'm black and I'm proud. Black power. You feel me? It because the gang situation had not taken such great influence because the initial the initial founders were still adolescents.
Right.
See what I'm saying? The initial founders were still adolescents at that time. So this whole gang situation was created. And my homeboy Denver Bam, man, he had told me this. Denver Bam had told me this once. He said this once in a class and it stuck to me. And he said that this was something that was created by a bunch of adolescents that had just had too much time on their hands. This wasn't meant for no 57-year-old man. This wasn't meant for no 30-year-old man or 40. It was created by a bunch of young teenagers doing teenage stuff.
With
See
no
what I'm saying?
with no guidance of any other elders. They were kind of like,
No
they were
management.
right within themselves. Right. Right. Right.
No
No
management.
management. No management.
Right. But that's what I mean. And that's exactly what I mean. Because of the fact that when it came about, there was just a bunch of young people that just had too much time on their hands. And this is what happened. This is what came about. This is what came from it. But there was never a script. There was never an agenda. See what I mean? There was never a script. There was never an agenda. We never had an agenda. We never had a script. We all been freestyling all these years here. This
Right.
wasn't written for a grown man. When I was young, I told her when I was young, I always tell people at 18 years old, people were leaving the gang because of the fact that at 18 you graduated high school. Shit, your parents got tired of you being in the house. It's time for you to be a
Right.
man. Get out the house, get a job. 9 times out of 10, you got a family or something. You done knocked some girl up throughout high
Right.
that you was in high school with. So
Right.
you got to be a man and get a job or something, or go to the military, or
Go to
go
the
to college, or
military. Right. Go. Yeah.
go
Right.
do
Right.
something. You are gonna get out of here though,
Right.
and that's the way it was. Crack cocaine is what created the career gangster.
The shift into the vowels. And it's funny. I want to say with us on this side before I feel like the crack finished it off, but before the crack, the dope, it was the heroin that
Right,
I feel like
right.
the heroin didn't work. It put a bad stain on the community, but the heroin didn't work, but the crack did. But the heroin was first.
Crack was more of a psychological drug, man. That was an attack. See,
Yeah.
people have to have an understanding of the fact that, man, that the black community, man, is under attack in several different means and ways, and we don't even have an understanding. We don't see it coming.
Right.
We know we take the trinkets that come with this here, but we don't understand the consequences.
Right.
See what I'm saying? You can pay with a pound of flesh. See, now I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. When I was young, man, I was a teenager, I was out there in the street selling crack when it first hit. And when the crack game first hit, you know what I mean? Like I said, I was in it, man. I was knee deep in it. But at the same time, I didn't have a realization that I was paying for my pound of flesh because of the fact that I was making a great sacrifice for what I was doing to my people.
Right.
See, I didn't know that then because I thought it was about me. I didn't realize it was about us. I didn't have kids back then. I didn't have grandkids back then. So
Right.
my realization and understanding of life at that point in time was something totally different. Because
Yeah.
at that point in time, I think, man, when I got out of camp, I was going on 17, and crack was out of control. 1984, crack cocaine was out of control, man, and I'm talking about it was out of control in
Damn.
1984.
And that's
And
crazy
man,
because that's the year I was born, so I know it was like
hey, it was out of control in 84. I came out of camp after the ball in 84. Everybody, 1984 was the year when I came out, and you see 16, 17-year-old dudes driving cars driving nice cars
Right,
and
right. Cell phones,
dudes
big
talking about they
chains.
out there selling. You ask dudes what they doing for their money. Dudes tell you, man, how they out there selling dope. Dudes tell you, man, I made $10,000 last night. Man, you made $10,000. How old are you? 17 and a half. Man, I'm dropping out of school. Man, I ain't going back to school. Man, I'm finna get rich.
Right, right,
This
right.
how everybody felt. That was the dream that was being sold.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, it was something totally different. See what I'm saying? And when the cocaine hit, the cocaine, it we were under attack because we were targeted. See, black people were targeted with crack cocaine. When I say black people were targeted with crack cocaine, what I mean to say is that when they came with that was a drug that had no intent for any other race of people but us.
But us, and specifically put in our communities.
Specifically put in our communities. And the craziest thing about it was that the education that came with it. See, because it didn't come as crack.
Because first it was
It didn't,
first it
it
was
didn't arrive as
freebase
crack. No, it arrived as powder
at cocaine form.
in the cocaine form. So somewhere through here, the government had to come up with with a strategic plan to give people an understanding of how to cook this and manufacture a cheaper version of it.
Right, right. From what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not. I think the government learned from like the Colombians and peoples in other countries that was already cooking it up, and they kind of took
Well,
it from there and
do
brought
you
it
know?
here.
You know the main. You know why cocaine? Why cocaine was sent in? Why they put cocaine into the cities? Like initially, like how in Los Angeles. You know why they flooded LA with cocaine in
No,
the beginning? They flooded LA with cocaine in the beginning because of the fact that there was a war taking place in Central America between the Sandinistas and the Contras
the
in
Contras.
Central
Okay,
America, in El Salvador,
all right,
Nicaragua.
right. I
What's that
do.
other country over there? It's El Salvador, it's Nicaragua.
Bolivia,
They
Peru, all
all in the
those
middle
countries.
in
Yeah, Central America.
Latin America
Yeah,
and in Central America. They were at war. The Sandinistas were funded by communist Cuba. See what I'm saying?
yeah,
Reagan. See, one thing in the old days, one thing that they all everybody hated was a communist. So if you was a communist, they felt that you was a traitor. You didn't love America. You have
right,
look at some of the old movies and how they treat how they talk about they call them commies. But the point that I'm making is the fact that that war, okay, was taking place. I forget if it's Congress or the Senate, they would not fund the war in Central America anymore. Reagan's secret war.
right.
So Ronald Reagan and the president at the time, the vice at the time was George Bush Sr., who prior to that was the head of the CIA. You see what I'm saying? So their means and ways of financing that war was to use operatives, preferably CIA operatives.
Mm-hmm.
And they was pushing the cocaine, they was getting the cocaine to Los Angeles, right? But this is the interesting part. Rock cocaine, in order to figure out how to rock it, the government had to have a plan. They had to teach somebody, and then they had to multiply that plan and amplify it in order for everybody to get an understanding of how to process it
Right.
and to have it in everybody's communities. Because it went in as powder in the beginning. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They taught us how to rock the cocaine up because
Yes.
everybody was taught how to rock cocaine up by somebody.
Yes. 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 That's the basically the versions of the things that I've learned throughout the time that you said. I
Right.
I I, I
Everyone,
think I think they was actually doing it in one of those countries, and they utilized that and said, "All right, we're gonna bring that right over here."
right. They use it right. And the thing about it all basically is the fact that this is the thing. This is a fact I've seen. It's like the movie Kill the Messenger, I think it is, when the guy Gary Webb went to Central America and he met with the cartel
Hmm.
leaders and stuff. And they talked about how the US government, because you gotta remember all that ties into the Iran Contra scandal and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know that they got movies they making now where they telling a lot of this. Here, what was that
They're
movie with
telling all,
Tom
yeah,
Cruise, Made in America? I think that was when he was flying the airplane
yeah.
when they was working for the government. See, these
No,
stories will come out. Gary Webb broke that story. Maxine Waters was somebody who was trying to launch an investigation into it. And there was
Mm,
another politician that was trying to launch an investigation into it also. But at the same time, all these are facts. And the thing about it was that the U.S. The United States government was smart enough to covertly be able to get push the drugs into the communities on us. But then at the same time, they were smart enough also to be able to extract the profits to
mm.
fund their secret war. You see what
Es-
I mean?
Especially by locking us up. That was part of the play by putting it
Well,
out there and locking everybody up. That funded their war as well.
well, no, but that money that was United States money. That money didn't go to. The thing about it was that was the backpedal on it.
Okay.
See, the backpedal on it, you pushing the dope out here, but you got to make it look like you ain't got nothing to do with it, right?
Right.
Ronald Reagan is out here pushing cocaine. He the biggest drug dealer in the country. He the biggest drug dealer in the world, right? But you know what his wife was on TV saying?
Just say no.
Just say no. Nancy Reagan
That's
was on TV
real.
saying, just say no. Her
That's
husband
real.
is her husband was the plug. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's just the way that it is, though, man. The government is cold, man. But see,
That's
all of this
cold.
here,
Yeah.
yeah, all of this and all these ways and means that they utilize, man, they targeted us, man. The United States government, they push us in our communities. On a biological level, we were attacked because the crack baby is a grown man now and a grown woman, and they are creating children that have emotional disabilities, mental disabilities,
Yep.
all this. Babies that were born with the shaken baby syndrome back in the days when crack
Yep.
babies was being born, they're grown now.
Yeah. Definitely. Yep.
Now their deficiencies and whatever it was that was implemented from through the drugs. Now they're creating kids now. Their grandkids are alive now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is just another means of a biological attack right here. Then at the
Yep.
same time, if you look at it, if you look at it from another angle of this here, right? They utilize this as a means of mass incarceration, but that sounds crazy because they gave us the drugs. How you gonna launch a war on drugs when you the one with the drugs? If there was a real war on drugs, all they had to do was say y'all stop, and whoever they had providing drugs was bringing it in. The CIA it wouldn't have been coming in. You see what I mean? So there's no war on drugs. There was a war on black people. They used the word there was a war on gangs. No, there was a war on black people, and there was a war on Mexicans.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? This is what there was a war on. They got to keep it real because there's some groups that don't go through the things that blacks and Mexicans go through. You got white gangs. They don't go through the things we go through.
No, not at all.
You
and,
see what I'm
and
saying?
until it backfired on them, that's when it became a war on drugs in America. Now we
Yeah.
got to do something because your daughter or your niece then OD'd off the drugs, the same drugs that y'all trying to
Right.
push into
Exactly.
our community. It is spread like wildfire.
Right. And you're exactly right when you say that. That is exactly right. These it wasn't no big deal until it landed on their doorstep.
Yep.
It wasn't a big deal until it started hitting them. See, but trace, if you follow drugs, see, it's interesting, man. Because if you follow the drugs, you ain't gonna find nothing but a bunch of low level dealers. You might even get the plug.
Right.
You're gonna get a bunch of users. You're gonna get a bunch of insignificant people, right?
Yeah.
But if you follow the drug money, man, you're gonna get senators, you're gonna get politicians, you're gonna get bankers,
Yep.
you're gonna get some of everything and everybody. Because the one thing about America, man, America is all about money. In America, we don't care what you did for the money. All we want to know is, do you got the money?
Yep. That's it. That's it. That's
We don't
it.
care what you did to get this money. All we want to know is, do you have the money? Where my money at? That's all
Right.
we want to know.
Yeah.
And that right there is interesting because of the fact that when you take into consideration this, it's the truth, man. Money make the world go round. But at the same time, there needs to be education with money. That's why I say that the dope game. One of the things about the dope game was the good thing. It gave great education on independence and not having to work for people.
Right, right. The
The bad
mindset of
thing
the
is that we
mindset
had to
of the
sell our
business.
souls for it.
Yeah, Yeah. But
You
like you
see what I'm
said,
saying?
it has a lot to do with unawareness at the time. But once you're aware, it
We
becomes a
weren't conscious.
choice. Right,
See,
right,
also watch this. It go back to the hip hop culture, the music. It go back to the influences because everybody around us was driving fancy cars, blowing more money than you could ever imagine to be blown.
right.
Everybody around us was involved in whatever they were involved in and making what they were making, but it all looked good.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It was like paid in full. You know how paid in full when they go in the club and everybody throwing money and they just balling like that?
Right. It looked
See, the
good.
world was like that at that point in time. Now, I told you when I was in high school, when they used to come through the high school and they would come past the high school, the guys, the drug dealers, I don't know what, I forget what group they were with, what organization or what group they were with on the low bottoms when I was down there. But these guys would come through here like in a convertible, like a Mercedes Benz or something or whatever they drive. And these was LA dudes, LA gang members. Man, these motherfuckers would throw up a bag of money in the air. They had a
Wow.
whole bag of money. This is the 80s. They drive past the high school and just throw a whole bag of money in the air, money flying everywhere.
Right.
This was the way that they was living. This was LA. But
Yeah.
also, this is the introduction to the automatic weapons. This was the introduction to the Uzi. This was the introduction to the AK-47 and the Mac 90. This was the
Right.
introduction to the Tech 9.
Because we got
See
money
what I'm
now.
saying?
So we got money now. So now we can get heavier artillery and
Heavy
spend more
artillery.
money to
See,
get right.
but watch this. This is the crazy thing that nobody ever thinks about, and I say this all the time, and I will never stop saying it. The United States government financed the gang war between the Bloods and the Crips.
I believe that.
In the
I definitely believe that.
1980s, the United States government, and that's a fact. Watch this. How in the world is the United States government going to pump metric tons of cocaine into the city on a regular basis
Mm-hmm.
to their regular contacts in these different communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
The United States has a financial interest in these communities. Am I correct when I say that once they put their drugs there?
Absolutely.
So now if they have a financial interest in this, then they're going to arm the people that they providing with their drugs because their financial interest has got to be protected by all means.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Their financial interest has got to be protected by all means. So, by that financial interest being protected by all means, that means that they easy access to the automatic weapon. Now it ain't nothing to get a Uzi. It ain't nothing. You see government issued weapons in the streets. It's
Yep.
nothing to get an AK-47. It's nothing to get something that you see them using in the movies. You see what I'm saying? But the
Yeah.
bigger picture to that basically is the fact that when it comes down to it, when we really, really, really look at this here for what it truly is, that the United States government agitated the LA gang war, and it would not be what it is today had it not been for their agitation. There would have been a lot of people deflecting from the streets, but they had actually taken away so much under the Reagan administration when the Republicans came in office under Ronald Reagan.
Mm.
When Jimmy Carter left office, Jimmy Carter implemented a lot of programs, and they had a lot of different programs like the CETA program and stuff like that there, where you could go to work and train and get jobs, and you can get summer jobs, and there was different levels of employment. There was a lot of programs in place that if you have nothing, then you can come out with something.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But what happened was the Republicans eliminated that, and all we had was crack. When crack was introduced, we were starving. You
Yeah.
see
It
what I'm
was
saying?
like talk about timing. It was like perfect timing for them.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't that. It was timed. Like I said, the
Time.
Republicans under Reagan eliminated all of the programs that were put in place by the Democratic administration under Jimmy Carter. So they eliminated everything. Carter was assisting the poor. He was trying to help the people in the communities in the hoods,
Right.
right? Reagan came in and whatever assistance, he eliminated that. Suddenly now we broke as a motherfucker, but here come crack.
Right. Right.
Now suddenly the U.S. government is now we in the streets. We got a hood where you might have a hood that might have had 20 members. Now this hood suddenly got they got drugs in this hood. They pushing You might have one homie in the hood that might have a bag, so he might be pushing kilos and kilos of this. Now suddenly in that hood might have been a hood that might have made on an average in a night, maybe between whoever was selling weed and robbing, and whoever was robbing and stealing or whatever. A good night might have been between everybody in that neighborhood, probably $3,000, $4,000. When cocaine came into the game, now we looking at the price of cocaine and we looking at kilos that are going over $60,000 a piece. And you got a homie, and this is what he's doing, and he's from the hood, and he represents the hood, and gang banging the hood like this here.
Right.
Now you got $1 million man standing right here next to you, and ain't no telling how many kilos he's moving. So now this
Right.
hood that might have been pumping $3,000 or $4,000 a night on back in the days before the crack era. Now that the crack era has hit, this same group and might have one or two or three homies they really got weight and is pushing kilos and stuff like that. There now, this is the same neighborhood. They might be making shit a $500,000 a night if they're not making a whole $1 million a night. And
Right.
the membership might have gone from 20, 30, 40 members to shit, three, four, 500 members, maybe 1,000 members.
Right.
Because remember, money attracts people. You see what I'm saying? Everybody want to shine. Everybody want to be on the team that's shining. Am I correct when I say that?
Absolutely.
So if I'm out there with, if I'm the one that got the money, that means everybody try to get with me. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Right.
that's the reality. But I always tell people this here because of the fact that you have to have an understanding of the conditions and the way that things are. A lot of this was predestined. A lot of this here was planned in the long term because if you look in the communities where we come from as black people, a lot of our inner cities are built near the downtowns. A lot of our
Mm.
inner cities are built, around the epicenters, right? See, in Los Angeles, we had what was called white flight in the 1940s when restrictive covenant
Mm-hmm.
was struck down. Restrictive covenant meant that black people could only buy real estate in certain areas of the city.
Right.
So when the restrictive covenant laws were struck down and black people were allowed to buy real estate in other parts of the city, they had what was called white flight.
When they took
So all the
off.
white people that lived in the city, they moved out and they went to the suburbs. They went to the
Yep.
valleys. They went to the beaches. They went wherever, but they got out of the inner city because they believed that black people would bring down the price of real estate. So
Yep.
now we're looking at crack cocaine 1984. Now it is 2025. So that's 41 years later. Now we looking at the gate. We looking from 1984. Not only was crack cocaine a biological attack, it was
Right.
also the gateway to gentrification.
Mm.
Because the thing about gentrification is the fact that that's when you get rid of all of the current residents and you move them out. And then what you do is you make the cost of living so high, the rent or the more you make the rent so high they can't afford to move back.
Right. Exactly.
So it pushes them out in the street. So you got to understand gentrification here is drastic. We have the biggest homeless population in the country. There are more than
Wow.
65,000 homeless people in Los Angeles County. See what I'm saying? So one of the things people think that just because a person's homeless that they're on drugs or whatever, but that might not necessarily be the picture. The
Right.
gentrification is so tough that I mean, think to live, man, here to get a one bedroom apartment, man, you got to be over $2,000.
Yep.
But you got to pay first and last month's rent and a deposit.
Yep.
So if I got to pay $2,000 a month rent, I got to give you first month 2,000, last month 2,000,
And the
then a
deposit.
security deposit. So
Superior
I got to
deposit.
give you about $5,000 to move into
Just
an
to
apartment.
just to get into this 2000 that
And
I
and,
already
and
can't afford it.
but watch this. But then watch this. I also gotta be approved because my I gotta pass the credit check.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yep.
in LA, when you walking around LA and you looking, and I call this racism. When you walk in LA, you can go to some areas and you gonna see for rent signs and they're gonna be in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You go to some places, you're gonna see for rent signs, they're gonna be in Korean.
Mm.
What did that tell you?
That mean it ain't it's not this is not for you. It's not for us.
This is a, this is the funny thing is that if I'm looking for an apartment and I go to one of these places, I assume I'm not the one that's out of place because this is America.
Right. But they make
English
us
is the
feel like
first
that.
language.
Right.
So
Right.
evidently, this has to be perceived as some means of racism on my behalf because of the fact that if it's in Spanish or if it's in Korean, evidently you didn't have intentions for anyone that spoke English to even be
To
interested in
understand
it,
that.
or you didn't
Yep.
have intentions of renting anyone of that form of fashion.
Yeah.
But see,
Yeah.
LA is like that. LA is like that, man. The homeless population here, man, is so crazy and so. See, I know y'all got homeless in New York, but it's different because it gets cold in New York,
Yeah.
so they provide resources and services.
Shelters and stuff like that. Yeah. Churches.
There's not enough beds at the shelters here. You
Wow.
ever go to LA, man, you ever come back to LA, I got to take you to Skid Row and show you,
Definitely. Definitely.
and you'll be mind blown at the multitudes of homelessness. The just looking at the mental illness, the trauma. You see people acting it out, living it out right there on the sidewalk in a tent,
Yeah.
in a cardboard box, in a refrigerator box or something. You see what I'm saying? This is the level. This is what homelessness is down here. Homelessness is in Los Angeles is a crisis. They trying to do something about it, man, but they can't do nothing about it, man. It's just too much and too many. Then at the same time, also, I hear that they're trying to criminalize it in some means and ways by being able to cite the homeless. But you can't do that because now suddenly you create this whole, how do I want to say, this whole brand new legal, this whole brand new legal issue of not being of homelessness and not providing homes or not providing shelter.
Right.
Then you got to build a new jail because, like I said, there's 65,000 homeless. Downtown LA got more than 10,000 homeless by itself,
Wow.
literally. Man, if you go downtown LA, you go downtown to Skid Row, man, they got a police station to sit right in the middle of downtown LA, Central Division. And when you go to Central Division, man, you will see people sitting on the wall of the police station smoking crack cocaine right
That's
outside the police station.
that's crazy.
It's
That leads to tell me that they don't really have no intentions of doing anything, or it's too
well,
far beyond
this is
that
the
they
thing.
can't.
This is the thing, considering the fact that the drug epidemic is so rampant in downtown Los Angeles and that there's so many users.
Yeah.
That there's over 10,000 homeless people in downtown LA. So if you start trying to take them to jail for the things like small amounts of drugs and paraphernalia, you got to build a brand new jail. You ain't got
Yeah.
time to go out and fight crime.
Yeah. It's overpopulated.
It's going to be overpopulated, right? Then that's
Yeah.
the thing about it, man. There are so many people that it's ridiculous. Los Angeles, man, is crazy the way it is. But that transcends from the crack epidemic
It does.
because before crack, there were no homeless. See, when I first started selling drugs in the '80s, there were no homeless people.
Right.
The people that initially that I started out dealing with as customers, they had good jobs, they owned properties,
Yeah.
they had cocaine parties,
Functioning addicts.
they were functioning addicts. They weren't even that because they didn't even consider themselves to be addicts.
Right. Right.
It
At
wasn't
that time.
addiction back then.
Right.
Right. This is 1980s. They was still smoking. They was smoking crack cocaine. They wasn't using stems and straight shooters and lighters. They was
Right. Right.
using Bacardi 151 with the real base pipe with the bowl on it, and they was burning that with cotton balls. And you see what I'm saying? It was a whole
Yeah.
nother thing. You had to be indoors somewhere, and you
Right.
know what I mean.
Right. To do
It
that.
wasn't out the street. You had to open air drug markets where you might have hit a corner and there was 40 or 50 people on the corner with drugs,
Right.
but the usage they had somewhere to go because everybody had real estate at that point in time. So now
Right.
we had a point in time where that wasn't nothing but a trap. Them same houses that people were sitting in, that was smoking the crack cocaine in, and we was cooking the cocaine in, and we was selling the cocaine out of, that
Yeah.
belonged to black people that we knew because these were really our people here. We really knew them,
They
but
was
these same houses, right, that these black families came here and bought because West Adams is a historical region of the city for black people.
right.
Sugar Hill is in the West Adams, right?
Sugar Hill.
And
Right. Right.
that's in West Adams. The West Adams
Did,
district is a historical black community. A lot of entertainers come from there.
didn't
You know what I'm saying?
Marvin Gaye live in the neighborhood?
Marvin Gaye lived on 21st and Gramercy.
Right.
Johnny Guitar Watson lived down there. Man, quite a few other celebrities live down that way. Ray Charles studio was down there.
Wow.
I went he had his funeral down there. But the thing about it is that all in all, the real estate in West Adams right now to buy a house in West Adams, you're paying more than $1 million.
Wow.
The house I grew up in probably is about 1.5 million. This is the cost of real estate in the hood, in West Adams, the area that we call the 20s. To buy a home, but you got to keep this in mind. The University of Southern California
It's right there.
is right across Vermont Avenue.
Yeah. So
The
it's the
Interstate
location.
10
Yeah.
runs straight through the neighborhood,
Right.
divides the neighborhood up. Downtown, if you get on Interstate 10, it's 5 minutes away. Hollywood is about 5 miles away.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can see all the different things that make the real estate so valuable.
Right.
So now the Caucasians that their families left from and during white flight,
They coming back now.
now they're coming back
Yeah, they
because
want it
now
back.
these are people they want that they know the value of that real estate. Plus, like I said before, the inner cities are built near the downtowns. So now these
Right.
people are getting tired of commuting from the suburbs and from the valleys and every other place that they went during white flight. They tired of
Yeah.
commuting in them places. Now they
Yeah.
want to be able to walk to work sometimes. They want to be
Yep.
able to ride the bus to work. They don't want to burn all that gas and spend all that
Yep.
money.
Yep.
See what I'm
It,
saying?
it,
So now this is what gentrification is all about.
yeah.
Because now they've taken the house that grandma might have raised 3 or 4 generations of kids in. Grandma might have moved in that house in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma might have raised 3 or 4 different generations of kids in this house, right?
Yep.
Grandma might have passed on. By 1984, she done gave this house to a relative. Somebody
Right.
became heir to this house, right?
Right.
1984, we ain't knowing nothing about nothing, and we ain't thinking about nothing. Survival is the key, and you can't get a job. You can't get a job maybe because you're ex-con. You can't get a job because you didn't complete high school. You can't get a job because shit, maybe because just because you black. You got all these elements working against you, right?
Right.
You in the dope game. This is what you're doing. But this was the thing. These houses, like I just said, right now are valued over $1 million. But when I lived in the community was probably 90% black.
Right.
So imagine the value of black people in that community, even though the house wasn't valued so much. But now, all them families, all them the inheritance people, the ones that inherited, the ones that lost their homes, now they live in low income.
Yeah.
They
It's
grew
like
up in beautiful homes. They grew up with equity. They grew up having a
yeah.
net worth because they had equity and they had real estate and they had property. But now
Yeah.
they have no value because now a lot of them have moved into low income. A lot of them have moving to the projects and to the jungle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's,
Well, we
it's like
grew up
going
in an environment of homeowners.
right. It's
Huh?
like going. It's going backwards. We went 20 steps back.
It defeated the dream of the grandparents
Right.
because the grandparents came here with a dream and they bought
Right.
real estate.
Right.
They passed it down to the family. They gave it to the kids. They gave it to the grandkids.
Right.
Y'all get it to y'all kids.
Right.
Suddenly now, boom, somebody gets in it. Somebody who got possession of the real estate, they done got a habit now. Now they themselves can't maintain. They must relinquish all responsibilities, which is something the strategy that I believe was implemented on all blacks that actually chose to partake in the use of cocaine and smoke
Mm-hmm.
crack. Because one of the things that came with that was the relinquishing of responsibility and rights of the properties
Right.
that were given and left behind,
Yep.
or what you own that you couldn't pay a mortgage on. So now what happens is they got to come back in. They're gonna get this. So gentrification was an easy move on this side because now all we gotta do is wait because we're gonna send the sheriff in. He's gonna do the eviction. We're gonna swoop in.
Right. And go get
See,
our property back and raise it
and
up.
and what makes real estate high in Los Angeles is the fact that see a lot of real estate being sold in LA, it's not owned by families. It's not owned by people. It's owned by corporations.
Mm,
So a lot of the homes that our families grew up in are being bought by corporations. See, so now suddenly there have to be a return on the investments because of the fact that they have a board of directors and stockholders.
yeah.
So their board of directors and their stockholders have to see returns on their investment because of the fact that when it comes down to it, what they're looking for is to make money, regardless of whether you got to make money off the backs of the poor or who you got to kick out in the streets.
Right.
Their objective is to make money.
Yeah. They
You see
don't
what I'm
care.
saying? Gentrification is a cold beast because of the fact that, like I say, on one side, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's if it's in one side, it's kind of good,
Yeah.
and I ain't gonna sit there and lie and act like it because I would be lying if I because and I'm gonna tell you why I say that. Gentrification made a lot of neighborhoods a lot less dangerous than what they used to be.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
It
There's
it
always
took a
a
lot of these
positive and
people out of
negative
the
side to it.
neighborhoods,
Right. Yes.
right? Because when we think about it, right, the way that they doing it, like where we at, the University of Southern California is trying to buy up everything, and they've actually bought out a lot of communities, and they've actually bought out a lot of communities. You see, USC got billions of dollars,
Yeah.
so they got the money to spend. You know what
They
I'm
got the
saying?
money to do it. Yeah,
If
definitely
there's a
do.
check this out in this side down like in the West Adams area, and
Yeah.
like the in like where the 20s is at, and in the area up by where the Futon Brims is at,
Yeah.
in the Expo Park area right there. If there is a house that is a problem, like let's say the hangout house where all the homies is hanging out, and there's a nuisance, an eyesore. The house getting shot up all the time. We selling drugs. We just all out in the front yard with it, all out on the curb and in the streets with it, right?
Right.
The University of Southern California will come and buy that home, and they will get an owner probably more than what the house is worth, because once they buy the house, they eliminated the problem.
Definitely.
The house is no longer a nuisance. You see what I'm saying? So the bigger picture to that basically is the fact that when it comes down to it, you know what I mean. Gentrification, in some senses, I mean, for the way they doing it, working with the people is different, man. You know what I mean? Because of the fact
Yeah.
no one is going to be friendly toward the people that's trying to take away what your family home has been for so long.
Right. Right. Right.
But at the same time, gentrification was also, I believe, it was planned way back when crack hit because it was an easier means and a way to take hold of the property, and it was an easier way to make people relinquish their responsibilities. I mean, we look at this thing for what it totally is, and we got to have understanding as a people, man. We got to be able to come together with the determination of sustaining and building because of the fact that if we can't empower ourselves and we can't figure out a means and a way to be here, then we're going to perish.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I tell people all the time, especially like with gangs or just people in the street, period, that's, doing the same thing, getting locked up, going to jail. Like, it's the fight, the real fight right now is to survive in your neighborhood because you if you're not gonna be able, it's gonna be a lot more homeless over here too. You cannot afford to not do the right thing as far as work. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Work somehow, some way to survive because
right.
like you
Well,
said, gentrification then it done hit
well,
everywhere.
but keep in mind that a man must first take care of himself, then he take care of his family, then he'll take care of his community.
Right.
The only way that we can fight gentrification is that we all must seek equity. Seeking equity means that we must gain value because equity is the investment that you make into property after you own it. They increase the value of the property.
Right.
So we have to seek equity and to seek out purchasing our own properties. See, like I always say, it's two places in the world we should own. That's where we work and where we live. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard somebody from the Nation of Islam say that. But that is the truth
That is the
because of
truth.
the fact that when we get down to the meat of this here, that's the only way we can battle gentrification, man. You got, you can't, it's not selling out. You got to buy in.
You got to buy in. Yeah, that's the perfect way to say it.
If you don't own the real estate, you ain't got no hood. So how you gonna talk about what you got, where you from? See, the hoods we moved in, we didn't have choices in them hoods. Our parents
Right,
moved to them places.
right,
You see what I'm saying? These are places that our parents moved to. We didn't have choices. We just became a part of the social construct that was taking place outside the front door. But we didn't have a choice. Now, when we get a choice, we move outside of the neighborhood. But we think we belong in the neighborhood because we've been fighting for so long. But we're a backwards generation of people because of the fact that human beings are nomadic. We're meant to move around.
right,
Nobody's parents, unless they owned a home and had the paying the homestead, if they weren't homesteading, their parents did not raise them in the same place that they grew up in.
right, right,
The only way you did is if your parents were homesteading. You see what I'm saying? But the key objective that is this here. If your parents were homesteading, then they had a dream. That's that dream that, okay, we're gonna leave this to Junior. Junior gonna pass it down to his son.
right,
And this family is gonna be in our family for generations. We have to bring that back. We have to have a plan. See, in order for us to be able to sustain the way we need to be able to get together and build with the academics. We need to get together with the economists, with the black academics and the black economists. We need to get together and come together and have think tanks and be able to come up with ideas and plans because of the fact that we still haven't even sustained or obtained our own piece of land that we can call our piece of land.
right,
There's no place that a black man got that he can call his own piece of land. So we don't even have a black region in the United States that we can go in that's 100% sustained by our labor and our money.
right,
You see what I'm saying? And that's very important because these are things that we need to be doing. We need to be creating a social, political, and economical platform because as a people, we got to start thinking bigger and better. Because otherwise, we're going to be the less fortunate because of the fact that we're not building and we don't have any plans of being fortunate.
right. And we already kind of subjects of that for so long. We already kind of been, we're behind. We're playing catch up now for those same reasons that you said. And it's funny. It's funny you say that because thank God I'm actually in the situation to where this house that I'm in was passed down because my aunt moved here in the 50s from the
Right.
city to make sure you know what I'm saying? And it's been
But you
passed.
understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're saying because now it's on me to, like you said, to buy in and not sell out because nowadays it don't make sense to sell out because if I was to sell this house thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's praised for 500,000, 600,000. That ain't no money these days for me to go somewhere else. I
That ain't no
can't buy
money.
I can't buy no house. I'm starting all over again.
Exactly.
So like you said, it makes sense to buy in equity, build up the house, build it up, pass it down to my
Pass
son,
it
and
down. Hey,
you know what I'm
or if you wanted, or if you in your mind had
saying?
the idea to say, well, okay, cool, I don't want to be here no more. Okay, cool. You could turn that into a rental property. Now you got
Exactly,
an income, but you still
exactly.
own the real estate.
And that's definitely in the plans in the future as well. Like I gotta
Right,
incorporate all that, right? Because me per se, I don't want to be subjected just to here. Like you said, we're nomadic. I wanna move around. I wanna invest in other places and do other things otherwhere too. I just don't wanna
right,
be home
right.
steady and
You
just
don't,
sit here.
right. And
Right,
here you go. And this is, I always said this here. I don't want to live and die in the 20s,
right.
meaning that as long as life is, I want to be somewhere in life where life take on the other side of the infinite part of life,
Yes.
on the fantastic, unimaginable side of life,
Right. Right.
on an island somewhere, fishing for them crazy looking swordfish or something,
You
while
know
I'm out here
that's it.
chilling, hey, sipping on a margarita or something, and just on
Right.
some cool stuff.
Right.
Somewhere else where they not people ain't worried about dying every day and drugs being sold, and people ain't
Right.
worrying about the
Right.
police.
Right.
You got peace of mind because your money's right. Because money gives you options, and that's a great deal to have the option to be able to move around and live as you wish to live,
Right. And
and that's
see,
very important.
yeah, because I look at it like this. We grew up watching stuff on TV, you know what I'm saying? Seeing a specific type of people. We could say whites, we could say whoever that grew up
Right,
differently, going to nice restaurants, going on boat rides, trips. We didn't grow up like that. So the fact that I've
right,
watched my whole life people operate that way, it's like, okay, well, why can't we do that too? Or why can't we live that life or go see things that we haven't seen just because just because we live in the hood, you know that shit don't mean nothing no more. We grew up watching things that was nowhere near us, so that gave us the, like you said, the option to either decide, all right, I can either do this or I can, I can go somewhere and try something else at the end of the day.
right. But well, think about it once again. Money grants options.
Yes, yeah,
See, what you looking at, I'm gonna show you a difference, man. And this is the truth. And this is what you grew up watching.
right,
And I understand exactly that state of mind. You grew up watching people that had the options and the choices to be able to determine where they wanted to be in life.
yeah,
While you was a person that was where you was because you had to be there.
right,
You understand what I mean by that? A person like me growing up, I never understood. I grew up every day worrying about my life, right? Because the circumstances of the environment and the social and political construct of my environment, right?
right,
But the people that I looked at on TV, the people that I looked at that was enjoying themselves, they didn't have the stress and the worries that I had. So they didn't
that
have
we
to worry
did,
about getting shot walking to the store.
right,
They ain't got to worry about paying the rent. They ain't got to worry about paying their car insurance. They ain't got to worry about finding a job. See,
right,
to take a
right,
trip, you got to find a job first.
you
You got
right,
to stay on that job for a little while. You got to earn them sick days and them vacation days. Then in about a year, you can go off and take a 5 day vacation or so.
right,
You see what I'm saying? So all in all, when it comes down to it, that's not having options because you got to sell too much time
yeah.
for 5 days. I got to sell 360 days of my life to get 5 days
To get
free.
5 days, yeah. And
See what I'm saying?
that's not it itself, but that's what people are working for.
Well, but that's the difference between
Yeah,
having options
right,
and not having options. Because if you have options, if you got options, you ain't worried about 5 days of vacation. Hell, every day is a vacation.
right. You're
Shit,
right,
I'm waking up. If I got the options, if I'm the CEO, I got my laptop, man. I'm sitting by the pool.
right,
I'm on the plane. I'm on my way to. I'm on my way to. I'm on my way to. I'm traveling across the world to Angola somewhere. You
right.
know what I'm saying? I'm cutting deals in the air. You know what I'm
In the
saying?
air, right, right,
You know what I'm saying? By the time I'm done, by the time I get on the plane landed, I can cut a $500,000 deal.
right.
I ain't got to do nothing now. When I once the plane land, I ain't got to do nothing but figure out how to spend it.
That that's a
See what I'm
fact.
saying?
Yep.
And that's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
Hey, but okay, we had an hour and 33 minutes. We gonna, well, I'm gonna kill this one here because we got like 2.5 hours in today.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get ready to kill this one here. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna do my shout outs and let you do your shout outs. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, y'all. All right, we finna bring this to an end, man. This is another end of Mad Ronald Radio podcast, man. I want to give a shout out to all my West Adams people, man. Everybody in West Adams, y'all know who y'all are, man. Lauren Miller Park, Normandy and Adams, all y'all, man. I want to give all of y'all a shout out. Much love to y'all, man. Much love to who? All my brothers, brothers, my real brothers. Lil Eddie, K Ray, Big B. Who else? Got all my nieces, nephews, everybody, the whole family, all y'all, whoever I forgot to say. Shout out to the homies. Shout out to Skip Townsend. We was talking about you earlier, and I commend you for the work that you do, man. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to everybody out there that's in the streets walking through the bullets trying to save lives, man. Because the intervention world is hard. People don't realize that to save a life, you got to bring your life. And
Yeah.
if you can bring your life and be talking to the killer, and the killer might not care who he's talking to, because talking against the program and talking about not killing might be the trigger, what makes him want to kill. So
Mm.
for you to be the one that got the nerve to go out there and to advocate for peace and against all the violence, then that means you got to go 100% against what everybody else is for, and you got to be the one that's willing to introduce the innovation and the ideology of peace to the group. But
Right.
once it's introduced, it will become a norm up until it is disrupted again.
Right.
But to each and every one of y'all, I'm gonna say health, wealth, peace, and prosperity. And also, y'all go to y'all see that cash tag on it. Y'all support Hoodwire at Cash App. You got anything? You got anybody you want to give a shout out to, Bumpy?
Yeah, man. Again, first and foremost, man, I want to give a shout out to you. Thank you for having me here with you, man, and to just be able to obtain all this knowledge, and you know what I'm saying. Like, thanks to you. Shout out to Hawaii TV. Shout out again to the West Adams District, the whole California, the whole LA, all sides. Shout out to the city, New York, five boroughs, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jersey, shout out to Connecticut, shout out to all the states, shout out to all the homies that got Local K. He got a podcast coming out. Shout out to Trey Holiday. Shout out to everybody that support. Shout out to the family, my brothers, my nieces, my son, everybody that we lost. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody that's locked down. We just, we're gonna hold it down for everybody, big homie.
That's right. That's right, y'all. That's right, y'all. And on that note, there we out of here, y'all. I wish you all health, wealth, peace, and prosperity. Y'all be safe, man. And y'all
Love.
make it to see the next podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right, homie. I'm all right, homie. I'm finna cut it short, man. I'm finna kill it.
All right, over
All
and
right.
out.
Have a good one. Be safe, man.
You too. Peace.
Okay.